Hi.
Oh,
Hey.
did it. Welcome to yet another Manifest Twitch stream, but this time with new characters, new campaign. The votes were just resoundingly in favor of us making some fresh characters that utilize the full rules of Manifest the RPG. And so here we are. As always, we have Addie, Gia, and Dan Barron as the players. But, in future episodes, there may be guest stars here and there, characters that come and go. The Drifter's life is full of many interesting temporary companions. Really quick, Addie and Dan, if you guys want to kind of introduce your character, give a brief idea of your character, maybe describe a little bit what they look like, and also identify the history and path that you've chosen, because it may not be a history and path that the people who have the quick start guide are familiar with. And then after both of you have done that, we'll talk a little bit about advancement triggers and where the story is starting.
Sure. So I am playing Roland Hollis, PhD. I am an educated grifter. Roland is does not look particularly physically capable. He's kind of wiry and a little gangly, very, very thin. Does not look like he has a lot of muscles on him, because he doesn't. He's from a factory town. He's very well educated and has spent his recent time pretending to be a professor. And the PhD is definitely real, I swear. Yeah.
Don't pay any mind to the fact that he's a grifter.
Why would you want to see the PhD? That's not a thing. You don't get to look at it. Roland has been spending his recent time teaching classes at a university in, I believe, Alanastead is what we decided on. Right, Tommy?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been teaching classes at Alanastead and skimming off the top of tuition, maybe setting up some other cons and scams. And certainly things have definitely been going really well for him lately.
Well, I guess we'll get to where the story starts.
I'm getting into character, Tommy.
You're lying a lot, I see. Alanastead is one of the 8 factory towns on Manifest, and all the factory towns have a little bit of everything. They're almost all of them are very sprawling metropolises with a lot more of the kind of sci-fi amenities that you might expect than places in the settlements in the Badlands or on the fringes of the Garden. But of course, with all those perks comes the tyrannical rule of the governors and their militia. Alanastead, it kind of sets itself apart from the other factory towns because it has a very close relationship with the largest religion on Manifest, the Triptych Church. It's where the largest seminary is, and it also their university. The University of Alanastead is one of the only universities that has direct influence from the Triptych Church on it. And then on top of that, Alanastead's claim to fame is that it is the due to its location to all the other factory towns, it is kind of the neutral ground for most factory towns. Once a year, there's a summit at Alanastead where the governors or their closest representatives all meet and make sure that everything is cool and that another factory wars isn't about to happen. So kind of has a UN vibe to it as well.
We in the grifting community call that open season.
And how about you, Addie? Who are you playing?
I am playing Pax Davison, who is a formerly indentured individual, and is now free, sort of, and she is also a outlaw. So she's less free because she keeps on. She's got a high rate of recidivism, I guess, and starts and is a little bit of an outlaw here and there.
A little bit of a sneak thief, I think.
Yeah, she's cerebral about it. She plans her stuff. She's not a charge in and figure it out kind of gal, because she knows what it's like when once you get caught by the law. So where you end up. Yeah.
Yeah. So those of you who watched the Twitch stream up until now can tell that these two characters are going to be very different from Anna and Vic as far as the ways in which they prepare and approach problems.
I don't know about Addie's character, but certainly I have a higher combined reasoning than both Anna and Vic if you mash them together.
Yep.
Yeah. So things are not going well for the two of your characters.
Did you want us to do advancement triggers before you tell us how bad it is?
No, we'll do that right before we jump into you guys actually playing. So things have not been going well. One of you is already in basically a prisoner transport caravan. You are shackled inside a jail wagon. And one of you is in the prison of the sheriff's office, in a holding cell in the sheriff's office in the town of Coffee Creek, which is located in the garden, kind of like central eastern garden. Not too far from Alanastead, but still a decent way. And so which one of you is in the wagon already, and which one of you is getting picked up by the prisoner transport right now?
I don't know.
Should we roll?
So presumably the one who's already in came from further away from Alanastead?
Correct.
That's definitely not me.
You didn't get very far?
Listen, I'm a lot of things. Physically capable and good at navigating the outdoors is not one of them.
Sweet. So yeah, Roland, you are in the sheriff's office. You've been there for a few days now, waiting for this prisoner transport to roll through town and pick you up and take you to Alanastead so that you may be convicted for your crimes. Your crimes, are non-violent, and depending on exactly how much you stole, it's likely that they wouldn't hang you. They might, though, force you into an indentured contract for a pretty large amount of time. So that's the kind of fate you're looking at right now. And the problem with indentured contracts is they have a whole lot of loopholes for them to kind of keep you in there for perpetuity if you're not careful. Meanwhile, Pax, you've already been picked up by this transport. It is this transport consists of 3 wagons, 2 of which are jail wagons. So they have the side walls are bars. The back wall is a barred door. And then the front that separates you from the drivers is a solid wall with a little slot panel that they can slide open and yell at you from.
Neat.
So you've been in there for a little bit. The 2 wagons are all the wagons are hover tech, so they don't have wheels, and they are all being pulled by automaton horses. So before we jump directly into actual play, really quick, I want the 2 of you to walk through what your advancement triggers are. That way, both the two of you and myself and the listeners can know what to look out for advancement triggers.
Sure. Mine are: you obtain something using only words as your currency. You trick someone into a disadvantageous position. You talk someone out of conflict with you. You talk your way into a place you have no right being.
All right.
Mine are: someone is threatened with violence. An open fight is avoided through underhanded means. You take something you want but don't deserve, and you get away with breaking the law.
Well, you didn't do that last one. Okay, so Pax, you've had a little bit of time on this wagon to sit alongside your single companion, your single passenger in the back of this wagon with you. Including you right now, before Roland gets picked up, there are 6 prisoners. It's you and one other prisoner in this wagon, and then the trailing wagon behind you has 4 other prisoners in it. There's also 8 marshals that are there's 2 on at the front of each wagon, kind of controlling the automaton horses, and one riding shotgun. And that makes up 4 of the 8, and then the other 4 are riding on horseback. Or actually, no, there's a 3rd wagon, which is which isn't a prison wagon, so that has 2 of the 8 as well. So there's only 2 on horseback right now. The 3rd wagon is a cargo wagon. It doesn't have any like slots in the wall. They just have like crates and like sacks of gear in there. Potentially, these are the personal belongings of these marshals, or goods and valuables that are being transported from wherever these marshals began back to Alanastead. No way to know for sure. They're not very open about what's in that cargo, if you ask. Your traveling companion within this wagon is a kind of gruff man with a patchy beard. It seems like he's been in this wagon for a while. He was here when you got here. He was the only one in here. You also notice that he is shackled separately from you. There's basically 2 like eye screws in the floorboard of this wagon. And your shackles are attached to a chain that runs through that runs through a separate eye screw than his. And he hasn't been the most open talker unless you decided to engage with him directly. He definitely didn't initiate any type of conversation. You notice he has a scar like right around his neck. Like maybe like a bullet had gone through it at one point. Low caliber bullet by the size of the scar, or it's a very old scar. And then he's got rough hands, kind of like brownish hair, though it's really, really dirty, so it's like extra dark right now, kind of like hanging over his face. And he's got like green eyes. Yeah, he doesn't talk to you a whole lot unless you try to talk to him. You have like a couple days before you make it to
Oh God.
where Rufus or where Roland is being held.
Yeah. I think probably after the first day, I would try to start some sort of conversation with him. Maybe just sort of like just getting back into the wagon after, I don't know if they let us out for any reason, like rest stops or whatever, and just sort of like a, hey, kind of like, I'm not super gruff, but I'm not like scared of him. So just, respecting his space, see if he like even says anything, or if he's really just very grumpy.
Yeah. What do you look like, Pax?
Sure.
Of course, your standard gear is currently not on you.
Yeah.
All of your standard gear is in a lockbox underneath the seat of the drivers of your wagon.
Right. Yep. So, trousers and sort of like a shift shirt and some boots. I assume we have shoes, and then
Actually, you are not given shoes. They take
no
your
shoes. They took my shoes. All right. And I have longish brown hair that's like in a ponytail, probably. Like, it's definitely up. It's unusual for it to be down. I've got like sort of narrow features and like olive colored skin. Yeah, just sort of, yeah, that's like not ugly, but like not like amazingly attractive either. Just sort of like standard person, I guess.
average size, average build.
You spent 10 minutes in the character creator, but you weren't about to spend 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, and she's pretty athletic. She's definitely like sinewy, potentially able to climb on the outside of buildings so she can rappel in to steal things. What?
So when you say like hi to him, he gives you like a grunt back.
Okay, progress. It's like I don't like. I find myself at a loss for what to say.
Yeah, so you sit in awkward silence with this guy
for like a while, and then I'm sort of like, so how did they pick you up? I guess.
He lets out a chuckle. He goes, how? Well, you're looking at it. This whole thing is for me. They rolled out the red carpet for old Rufus Nash.
Interesting. Oh, Rufus Nash. Do I know Rufus Nash?
You can roll connections to see if you know anything about the man known as Rufus Nash.
Okay. I will. Ooh. That's got. I know one hit.
Okay. You've seen some bounties for him. You don't remember the exact number, but you remember it being extremely large.
Oh, okay. Extremely large bounty.
You didn't like look too hard at it. You're not like a bounty hunter or anything. You just like you remember seeing the name through the past like few towns you've been in for a while now. It seems like they've been after this guy for a decent amount of time. Judging by like what you can kind of remember, like violent crimes seem to be the case, which of course large bounties usually are that kind of thing. So, but yeah, so the name rings a bell, and you're like you kind of are able to piece what he looks like to the bounty board. He's definitely less clean than he was before, or than he is like presented on the bounty board. Usually his beard is a little bit more maintained, and like his hair is usually like pulled back, but right now it's just like hanging down in front of his face.
Okay. So I can presume that he's very dangerous.
Yes, he is very dangerous.
All right. Interesting. I will. Yeah. So. Oh. Well, they. Yes. And I just sort of like stopped talking to him. And just sort of like, I'm like, I don't, it's just,
You do notice, like, as you get, like, kind of flustered by, like, him just dropping his name, he, like, does get a little, like, satisfied grin on his face as he, like, kind of leans back into the corner he's sitting at and, like, leans his head up against one of the bars, with just kind of a smirk on his face. And then, you arrive in the town of Coffee Creek. You were given a very brief bio break. As they take you guys out in shifts, like one at a time, to relieve yourselves. They feed you at that time. They feed you a little bit of like cornmeal and then give you a little bit of water so that you can like make it to the next stop. And during that time, Roland, you've been in the cell of the sheriff's office at Coffee Creek. And the door, you hear the wagons coming to town. You hear like the like marshals talking to each other, and then the door opens up, and a tall, kind of handsome man with dark black hair, marshal's badge on his jacket, like his duster, walks in. You see he's got like a rifle slung over his shoulder and a pistol on his hip. He walks up, looks kind of in the cells like he doesn't know exactly what he's looking for. He sees you and he goes, "This it?" And the sheriff stands up, kind of brushes himself off. The sheriff is like was, when he arrested you, he seemed pretty imposing, but standing next to this marshal, he definitely seems more meager. And he kind of brushes himself off and goes, "Oh, yes, Officer Yin. This man here, well, we sent the report in the LRC. Did you read it?" He's like, "I'll read all the reports. If that's it, give me the keys to the cuffs and we'll take them." And sheriff obliges, and they open up your cell, and they grab it and goes, "You need to use the outhouse before we put you in. It's going to be a little bit of a ride to Alanastead."
Well, I mean, if you put it that way, probably, right? It just seems smart. Yes, please.
He waits outside while you use the outhouse.
I don't actually have to go, but I am sort of frantically looking for a way to escape and don't find one.
Like briefly look into the seat and you're like, "Nope."
Maybe it's plumbing. No, it's not plumbing.
And then after having no way out of the outhouse but the door, you are guided to a hover jail wagon with 2 passengers. As there's like a brief moment where like someone goes, "We got just one more? All right, good. We're not at capacity then. Yeah, I guess throw them in with Nash and what was your last name, Pax?
Davison.
Nash and Davison." And they put you in there, and you get attached at the other end of a chain to Pax. The two of you have shackles that are attached to a single chain that runs through that little eye hole that's screwed into the floorboard, separate from the shackles on Rufus. Man, I made this name and now it's hard to say. Rufus Nash.
Hi. I guess if you need more chain, just sort of let me know. I'm Roland.
Roland, what do you look like?
Roland is pretty tall. I think he's like 6'2" or 6'3". Like I said, pretty thin. Probably would look very good in like a well-fitted suit that I presume is now in a lockbox under the driver's seat.
Yes.
It's got sort of dark brown hair that looks like it was styled recently, but hasn't been for a few days. And I think sort of very pale blue eyes. And looks like he's usually well-shaven, like clean-shaven, but has not shaven in a few days. Yeah,
so he introduces himself as Roland. You get a non-committal grunt from the man in the corner leaning against the bar.
Pax. Thanks, that's kind of you.
I figure it's a, sort of only thing to talk about.
And after a short break, as the other prisoners are able to relieve themselves and the marshals restock for the rest of the trip, you see again that Officer Yen, who seems to be in charge. He seems to be in charge of this whole caravan. He walks around, checks with everyone, and then barks a couple orders. A ninth marshal, the marshal that that helped take you in, Roland, joins the caravan on horseback. You see them load a very small amount of his personal possessions into the large cargo wagon at the front of the caravan, and they head out, and you leave Coffee Creek and head direct towards Alanastead. Now, the trip to Alanastead is little less than a whole day. So you're looking at anywhere between 14 to 16 hours on the road here. And like you said, there's not a whole lot to talk about. So unless you guys are being incredibly tight-lipped like good old Rufus Nash is, you guys can choose to roll to shoot the shit. You can pick each other, or if you want, you can pick Rufus Nash. But it's more likely that you end up revealing something to him instead of learning about him by picking him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a generally quiet person, and so
you also haven't had company for a couple days.
Well, I mean, I made friends with this sheriff. I tried to maybe see if I could get some compassion from him or get invited to dinner, and then I'd be at dinner at his house when they came to pick me up, and it would be a whole thing. But it didn't work. So, yeah, no friends for a while. Yeah, I'll shoot the shit with Miss Davison here.
I will also shoot the shit with Roland.
So the two of you roll personality as an attribute-only test, and however many hits you get determines the kind of interaction the two of you have.
It's been so long since I've been good at this.
So who wants to go first?
Well, what did you get?
I got 1 hit.
Okay, I was gonna wait and see if you got none, because I got 3, and I figured I could smooth over.
All right, so Roland, you get to learn something about Pax.
All right. Yeah, I think, a couple hours in, been sort of talking about nothing for a while, and then, so, I know you're, not supposed to ask this, right? Sort of Criminals 101, but, what are you in for?
I was taking a walk, and they mistook me for someone else, and I am now falsely accused of being that person, whoever that is, and allegedly she has time left on her contract, and I don't. So,
right, of course, mm-hmm. Allegedly.
Yes.
Are you trying?
Happens all the time. Just a miscarriage of justice.
Are you trying to actually make it seem like you're not the person?
No, allegedly.
You're just covering your bases and in case the marshals are listening.
If he's a marshal, they just like drop him in here all casual, like get me to confess. I don't know this person.
Sure. You get another small chuckle from Rufus in the corner. He's just like a.
But yeah, I was innocently walking in front of a bank, and they decided that was suspicious, and then they confirmed, allegedly, that I was this alleged person. And now I'm here, and I'm sure everything will be worked out by the time we arrive.
Right, I'm sure that we're going to get there, and they're going to open up the doors, and they're going to look at the two of us, and I motion to Nash, and they're going to say, 2 of you, straight to prison. You, Miss Davison, we're so sorry. You're free to go.
Another
Precisely.
from Rufus. And then, because you rolled 3 hits, Roland, the 2 of you bond over something. So further along in this trip, something happens. Some kind of kinship is born.
I don't know. You got anything?
Nothing that immediately comes to mind. But I do feel like if we talked enough, which I don't think we'll do here, we would find that we are peas in a pod. But yeah, I don't have anything that comes to mind. No.
Sure. I got it. So when you are, of course, justly released, when we arrive at Alanastead, do you have plans to see the city or places you want to go? I can recommend some restaurants if you like. There's a couple nice tailors, or I've got a bit of an inn at the university if you want to audit a class.
Just don't mention my name.
That is very kind of you. I think I would be not able to stay in the city, unfortunately, this time around. I'm from Alanastead originally, but
small world. Me too.
Oh, really? How interesting. And so you're being out here for reasons?
Oh, well, allegedly, I've been given a large sum of spurs by the university there, freely and, of course, legally, allegedly. If it happened at all, there's really no way to say for sure. It's a big old case of he said, she said, and there's more of them than there are of me, so I'm being thrown under the bus for allegedly stealing a lot of tuition that I contest they just gave to me for services rendered. And so then I ran.
So an open and shut case, and that you'll be out and about. They'll find the paperwork, and everything will be fine.
I'm sure the contracts will turn up, and who's to say where any of us will be in a day's time?
Both meet up in Glenspire. It'll be great.
Sounds lovely. I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
The jackalope races are supposed to be starting soon, so...
Oh, that sounds great. It really does sound great.
People dress up in their finest there.
I do love a good excuse to get dressed up.
And jewelry.
Lots of rich people gathered in one place. All the money sort of on them.
Yeah. It's risky, you know, but they seem to manage okay.
All right. So a few hours after that exchange, the caravan is continuing down the road, and you notice they kind of like tighten up the ranks just a little bit as they start moving through, particularly hilly area of the garden, where there's like tall rolling hills around you that kind of block line of sight, and several of these hills, or at least in the valleys, there's like medium to large like pockets of like wooded areas and thickets. So the sight lines are much smaller now in this at this time, as you guys are still moving along this kind of dirt road to Alanastead. And you guys are just kind of sitting there. Your conversation has gone into a lull, and then kind of unexpectedly, you see this man, Rufus Nash, kind of like sit up for the first time. He's been kind of slouching, seems kind of defeated, and he just sits up, and you finally see as he pushes back his hair and kind of like unruffles his beard a little bit. He looks just a little bit more like those wanted posters you saw, Pax. And he starts looking around a little bit at the terrain, and then he looks at the two of you. He goes, "Well, I gotta say, two of you were mighty entertaining for the last part of this journey. I appreciate it, and I wish you the best."
Thanks.
What?
And at that moment, he kind of raises his hands up like this. And before you have a chance to ask anything else, your ears are attacked by the sound of an explosion. And you hear the people screaming and the horses like rearing, and you can kind of see from your position, like by the bars, the road ahead of the caravan has just exploded and shot up like a gout of like rock and dirt, and that like it starts falling all around you. And then suddenly there's like three more explosions kind of around the road, dirt and muck flying up. And also like a decent amount of smoke. And suddenly the area around is very obscured. But just as that's happening, right before like it's completely like a haze around where you are, his hands up like this, you see the flare of a gun from pretty far away flash, and you hear the bullet, or you hear the bang of it as his handcuffs are shot clean from the chain containing them. And then a second shot flies almost right on the heels of that, just bang, bang. And that seems to clip the lock of the door leading to this wagon. And in the blink of an eye, as the haze and smoke and dirt starts like surrounding you, Rufus Nash rushes past you and like shoulders through that door, and the like already damaged lock breaks open, and he flies off into the smoke. And
Holy
now
shit.
And you hear gunshots and shouting and a couple more smaller explosions, and you can hear the voice of the leader of the marshals, Officer Yen, shouting out orders. You hear him like saying like, "Get the wagons together, keep an eye on the prisoners, where's Nash," that kind of thing.
I think this may be a moment where the two of us lock eyes. There's just sort of a try and escape.
Yes. All right. Is there anything around us at all? Like what's the wagon made of?
Wood and metal mostly.
Are there any nails?
Go ahead and roll observe for me. We'll do it at a -2 because you're kind of the smoke is flying.
I've been in here for days.
Oh, sure. You can roll observe to have scanned it. We'll put it at a -1.
How dare.
Have you have passively scanned it up until this point.
That is 2 successes.
So these things are pretty well made, and there's not like loose nail boards or anything like that. You think there might have been some legitimacy to when Rufus said that all of this was for him. They were picking up prisoners along the way, but you think that like these wagons are pretty fresh. Like they may have made these wagons may have been fresh off the factory floor and put into service specifically for the task of capturing Rufus Nash. So there's not like any loose nails or anything. But one thing that you are able to notice, how many hits did you get?
2.
Your current, like, the weakest point right now, one that definitely isn't a thing that you could take advantage of in any other situation than the situation you're in right now, is the eye screw that is like in the wood. It's a screw in the wood, which is like definitely like very tight in there, but like that's like the weak point of your chains, right? You could break maybe the either the wood around the eye screw or the eye screw itself, and you and Roland would still be attached by this chain, but you might be able to leave the wagon. Otherwise, there's the wooden floor, which you could do something with if you can think of something I can't, or the bars by you. The chances of you being able to just break the chain and the shackles you're on, probably pretty low.
So what about, is the chain long enough that if it was pulled to the end, that I could reach the slide at the front of the carriage?
Probably not with your hands, but you could like put your head up against that slide and mess with it that way.
Okay.
While your hands are being like pulled to the end of the chain.
Yeah.
Because you were closer to the door, and Rufus was up against that wall.
How big is this? How big is this slide? Is it about like 3 inches? Is it like 4 inches tall?
It's about three. We'll say 3.5 inches tall and 6 to 8 inches wide.
Okay, I can work with that. Let's just go. I'm really sorry, and I pull on the chain really hard, which I presume pulls Roland to the floor.
Yes.
And I will.
Okay, we're doing this then.
And I will, with my foot, slide open the because I don't have shoes on. Slide open the slide.
Sure, it takes a little bit of doing because there's no like notch for you guys to willingly slide it open, but it's not like locked or anything, so you are able to kind of like press your foot up against it and like use that friction to like slide it open and get your toes in and then close it, open it all the way.
Great. Can I fit my foot? Like, is there someone sitting on the bench?
At this moment, no. It looks like the drivers have vacated their seats.
Okay. Have I seen how the bench is open?
So the lockbox in question that's under the benches is not, the benches don't open. It's like they're shoved underneath there.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a foot locker. It's like pretty large.
Okay, so this won't work. My idea doesn't work. And then
are you illuminated? Are you gonna like use your telekinetic powers to grab the keys or something? Is that what's happening?
Oh no.
More gunshots, more explosions, lots of yelling.
Did you just want to get a look at the front seat?
We're having a tiny bit of technical issues. My window has decided to do a thing, but it should be
I got a question while I'm down here. How tight are these? Are these like handcuffs, or are these like tight to your wrist manacles?
tight to your wrist manacles.
Ah, that sucks. That sucks a lot. They really wanted me arrested.
These
they really wanted someone else arrested, and I got sort of caught in the dragnet.
Yep.
No. Bad things are happening. All right, here we go.
Yeah, it does look like we're our images on the
There we go.
in our boxes keep shrinking.
Yeah, it's okay. I think I've got it. Hopefully now it is better. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Everything hopefully should be fine. And
I got an idea. Does it take a minute for your illuminated telekinetic powers to?
I am not illuminated. My plan did not work. What is your plan?
Oh, okay. So here, if you can come back, so I can get a little more leverage on the chain, then you pull yours tight, and then we're just gonna yank as hard as we can. What's this? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. So. We're gonna just try and unscrew this thing until we can break it, maybe? It's just a screw, right? It's not like a high-tech...
Yeah, compared to the, like, tempered metal that is the, like, shackles and the chain, the screw seems very mundane.
I've seen a lot of screws. I know a bit about machinery and technology. This is neither.
All right, so we're trying to, I guess, have enough torque to pull on it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just, you get it tight and then turn. We could even sort of circle around each other if it's really working.
Yeah, so you guys, I think, can you can teamwork test, an athletics test.
Okay, I'm gonna help you.
Seems good.
Okay, so a couple of things have happened. First,
No.
I've gotten one success. Second, I've misfired.
Okay, so it's just a misfire, not a grave misfire. We'll deal with that soon. What did so that is a +1 to you though.
So that is 3 successes.
Okay. So the two of you kind of like get the chain kind of even between the two of you. You pull up on it and like kind of wrap it around your elbows, and you start pulling and kind of twisting. You actually see as the screw like kind of like pulls against the wood and like ekes a little bit, and then you're like pulling as hard as you can, both of you, and you like kind of move around each other, shuffling in somewhat of a circle to kind of get the screw to slowly start unscrewing, and then it just pops right out, and you punch yourself in the face, Roland.
Oh no! Ow!
Ow! Yeah, I think you'll take what's your strength? It's small, right?
Oh, this is great. I take unarmed damage as if I've hit myself, and I'm quite weak. It's only 3.
Nice, sweet. All right, so your muscle's 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you take you take like one or you take two hit point damage.
Ouch. Ow. That sucks, but we're free now, so I guess in the grand scheme of things, pretty good. Should we go around to the front where our stuff is?
Yes. Also, stay very close to me, and I'm going to take most of the chain and like it's a weapon, and like so it's like so I could hit somebody.
Oh, sure. Take some of the slack between the two of you and like grab it on both ends, so you have like kind of a loose like. I
figure it's metal and will hurt.
It seems like it would. So you guys clamber out the back of the wagon. More explosions. The haze is everywhere. You can kind of in the haze see like the flashes of muzzle fire, and you do like see like there's a moment where as you get out, like a horse races by you without a rider. And like just like barely misses you and then like disappears in the fog. More shouting, and you hear like, "Where's Nash? Where's Nash?" It's the Dead Man's gang. is like some of the words you're able to catch. And then you make your way up to the front. You kind of clamber on. The automaton horses totally unfazed by what's going on. They're just in like standby mode, just kind of sitting there. And you're able to kind of pull out that footlocker from underneath the seat. And it is still locked. And at that moment, as you're kind of there, you see movement. So your eye, you snap to, and maybe Pax gets the chain ready. And you see Rufus Nash moving by. He has a gun in hand now. And he like kind of runs by, looks up and he goes, "Hey, you found your way out. Nice. Hey, if you're wanting to earn some spurs, once you get your stuff, meet me at the front. Help us look through some of the cargo here. We're gonna rob these fools blind." And he like grins and runs off into the mist to the front of the wagon, out of your line of sight. But yeah, you have a footlocker in front of you that is locked.
Okay. Well, now if we were to try and use an automaton horse, would that be wrangle or drive?
Drive.
Oh, good. I don't know about you. I don't know, the Dead Man's Gang. Well, they don't seem like they're in my line of business. I don't know if they're in your line of business.
Not typically, but hold on, and I'm gonna like swing really hard on the footlocker to see if like I can get the lock to open by bashing it with this chain.
Sure, roll a melee attack.
Okay.
It is an improvised melee weapon, so we'll put it at a -1. Put it at a -2 actually, because you're kind of shackled at the same time, so it's like a poor improvised melee weapon.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say we could just take the lockbox and hop on a horse and run.
I want shoes.
Fair. I get it.
Okay, so that is actually 3 successes.
3?
3.
All right. So you hit the chain. You see it kind of like buckle a little bit, and then ting, ting, and the last like hit pops the lock and kind of like breaks it a little bit. And you're able to kind of get down there and like work at it to kind of like get it loose of itself. And as you're doing that, you see movement again. And you like as you're about to get the lockbox open, you see Officer Yen on horseback kind of pull up beside the wagon and like notice you, and he like points his gun at you. He's got his pistol in hand. His rifle's been lost in the mist, and he has his gun at you, and he looks at you, looks at what you're doing, kind of looks around. He goes, "Where's Nash?"
I'll look to Roland and I'll go.
I am already saying
Up front.
he went to the front. Him and his whole gang, they're at the front. They tried to recruit us and we said no, we're law-abiding citizens. This has all been a mistake. We don't want to join your gang. Has he rode off yet? I can keep going.
No. He sits there. Yeah, go ahead and roll manipulate real quick. Do it at a -2 because you are like.
Okay. I'm almost positive the answer is no. Does my talent dress to impress help me here?
No!
I'm wearing the clothes of someone who's wrongly accused, and thus they are appropriate to the situation.
You are up against a 10.
Oh, whew. I got 2 10s.
Oh, well, you're the aggressor. So you say that, he kind of like sizes you up, looks at the two of you, sees that you got the lockbox open and like partially cracked, and he lowers his gun. He doesn't holster it. He kind of glances over his shoulder real quick, looks back towards you, and he goes, "All right. I'm familiar with your situations. I did read. They sent a thorough dossier on the both of you. You ain't Nash's type, but I am outgunned and outmanned right now. Can I use your help? If you're willing, I could look the other way at the end of this, and y'all could escape.
Deal? I'm in. I'm attached to her, so it's not really sort of a for sure thing.
Of course. Yeah.
Great. We're in. So are we like deputies? Do we get badges? How does it work?
No. Here. And he reaches in his saddlebag and he pulls out a smaller lockbox, about the size of like a large book. And it's sleek back and high tech. It doesn't have like a mechanical lock. And he goes, "My money's on there after this." And he sets it on the stool next to you. And there's like another explosion. And he turns and looks and he goes, "All right, y'all take that lockbox. There's a stream south of here. You hit that stream, you follow it downstream about 3/4 mile or a mile. There's an alcove, kind of a cave, a shallow cave. You wait for me in there. I'm going to see what I can do to get my men out of here, and then you'll be long gone before they realize that they're looking in the wrong place."
Sounds great. I love this plan.
And then he like briefly like sits there and goes, "Don't make me regret this, because my jurisdiction is planet-wide, and I will find you if you go running off to your freedom before I say it's clear."
Sounds good. I promise we won't.
Do you mean that, or are you lying to him?
Undetermined.
Who's to say?
We mean it in this moment.
Listen, the life of a grifter is always meaning what you say when you say it.
Go ahead and roll manipulate to see if he trusts you in the slightest. You are up against a 9.
No net hits on that one then.
Okay.
I might have oversold it. That's my bad. I shouldn't have promised.
What did you roll? What was your highest?
An 8.
Okay, so he only gets 1 net hit on you. So you definitely you can tell he's suspicious of you. But you also have a feeling that he is, honest to God, like one of the better marshals out there, and he will be able to track you down. So it's like kind of he looks at you as if to say like, you can try. And then before he has a chance to say anything, a gunshot cracks and his shoulder bursts with blood. And he almost falls off his horse and then pulls himself back up and fires off into the mist. And he's like, "All right, fuck it, go." And then he kicks his horse in and starts riding towards the gunfire.
I'm gonna put my shoes on.
Yeah, you guys have opened up the lockbox. All of your gear is there.
I don't think I have time to put all of my gear on, but I definitely take out a couple of weapons, I guess, for protection, and then also put my shoes on and grab my backpack and not that I can really carry it because we're still locked. So I guess it's just the weapons and this thing, and hopefully they bring our stuff. At least my stuff. I don't know about you.
What do you mean, bring your stuff? You have all your stuff. You can see it all there.
Yeah, but how am I supposed to put I guess we could carry the lockbox between us?
This is sort of what I was saying earlier, right? Take
okay.
the lockbox, and if you want to, I don't know, are you good at automaton horses? I'm middling.
Good. Yeah.
You don't seem confident. I'm going to drive.
Okay.
So we carry the lockbox, we hop on one of these automaton horses, we ride down the stream a 1/4 mile or a mile or however long he said.
Yeah. So you grab the reins of the horses and pull them up. They're kind of like thicker. They have like wiring in them and everything, and like the sensors of like you picking it up like make the horses kind of like regain consciousness. It seems like it's like they've been like totally like statuesque, and then as soon as you grab the reins, they kind of like move a little bit more naturally as if they were living horses. And you pull the reins up, and you kind of pull to the side, and they start like going that way, and you're going to try and kind of off-road it a little bit to try and get out of this kind of war zone you've found yourself in. So let's go ahead and do a drive test. I'm going to put it at a -3. Just because it's the visibility is terrible. You're going off road. The situation is very bad.
Great. It's totally fine. Everything's okay. Hey, okay. Well, just the one hit.
What's your highest?
7. Did the road roll very well against me? Is it all an ocarina? Are we dead?
So you kind of pull and give the ropes a snap, and they start moving forward. You off-road it. It's rough for a second. You guys are kind of bouncing around, and Pax, you notice you're kind of able to see a little bit of the fog is clearing a little bit, and you're able to see some of what like is going on around you. You get like a brief glimpse of a man on a red bowl-like creature known as an ache, like barrel past, like breaking through the smoke, and he's just like firing what looks like spread shot out of a pistol, and you see him just like hit Marshall in the neck, and then like blood shoots out, and you guys like see that for a second. It's like right in front of you, like briefly, and then he disappears into the smoke again. And then a little bit later, you start hearing like engines, and you are able to see like the movement of what looks like kind of like a off-road like truck moving off in the distance, like rolling over a hill, like the sunlight kind of cutting through the fog finally. And you see like it's like kind of doing like a pretty intense maneuver, kicking up dirt, and fire, like a ton of gunfire is coming from the back of it. You can't tell if it's a person holding like a rifle and somehow able to stand there, or if it's like a turret that is planted on the back of this truck. But it's a rapid fire shots, just like full auto, raking through, and like you see some of the shots like hit some of the automaton horses in front of you. And you're able to kind of snap the reins and move past that, like out of that rain of fire. And then like behind you, you hear the sound of the truck like barreling across your path and in the other direction. And no one seems to take direct notice of you as you move your way through this. And you manage to clear through kind of the smoke and smog. It's getting a little clearer. You can kind of see the shape of the battle. It looks like maybe you'd say most of the marshals are dead, and the bandits number anywhere between 5 to 10 of them. It's hard to say for sure. You do see a few of them like kind of around the shape of what you assume is the front wagon. There's like gunfire centered around that area, as if they've kind of created a perimeter around that and are like tearing it apart. And then you bend around a hill and are able to break line of sight with the fight, and then snap the reins and get back on the road and make your way to the south.
So I think I've just hit a couple of my advancement triggers.
What we got?
I've certainly talked this marshal out of conflict with me.
Yes, that is an XP for both of you.
I've talked my way into a place I have no right being, which is no longer under arrest.
Yeah, and in control of something that is of great importance to a marshal.
I think I've obtained something using only words as my currency, which is something that is of great importance to this marshal.
Yep.
Now, I guess it wasn't intentionally a trick, but it does seem that I've sent the marshal into a disadvantageous position by telling him where Nash is.
No. It was not a trick. That is where he wanted to go.
Okay. So that's 3 XP for both of us, and I get a crit.
What about you, Pax?
Let's see.
I was just checking because I know you have a lot of sneaky ones too.
Yes. So someone was certainly threatened with violence.
Oh, absolutely.
We were. It was us.
And an open fight is avoided through underhanded means.
Yeah, we told him where Nash was and sent him on their way. Seems very underhanded.
You avoided the fight by making a deal with a marshal. After you were clearly given a proposition from the gang to be, part of the gang temporarily.
Yeah. I've taken something I want but don't deserve, my freedom. And
That one's sad.
Yeah. And did I get away with breaking the law? Hard to say.
You were given an order from a marshal. Cool. So you guys are at 6 XP right now.
Mm-hmm.
You ride south. The sound of the cacophony of this battle behind you kind of gives way to like the trees and the hills that you leave behind you. You can kind of only hear it in the distance, but you can still kind of hear it. And then you eventually come across a stream. And do you follow that stream downstream, or what do you guys do?
We follow his instructions, I think.
Yeah, I follow the stream. At the very least, it seems like a great place to stop and rest and decide if we're going to do the rest of the thing that the marshal asks us.
Cool. So you guys make your way downstream, and it takes you a little bit of time because there's not really a road there. You kind of have to get off the road to follow the stream. Luckily, this is a hover wagon, so the automaton horses are able to very kind of nimbly follow this curving stream without the wagon really hindering them a whole lot. Every once in a while, you do scrape up against like a tree or a stone as you make your way, and you kind of find like you're kind of like there's like hills that have been clearly like cut down by the stream. It's not quite a canyon, but there's like stony, rocky like wall to your left and the stream to your right as you make your way, and eventually you do see off in the distance what looks like kind of a cave mouth alcove that matches the description the marshal gave you.
Yeah, I'll pull the horses and wagon into there.
Cool. They just they fit into the mouth neatly. It does look like it goes back. It's kind of hard to see for sure without a light source. Could be forever, but judging by the fact that he said it was shallow and like by the the general size of this thing, you don't think it goes back too far.
So I will look for my auto picker, I think, and try to get these manacles off.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you go for your auto picker. I go for my lock picks. We have the moment of like, yours is much better. You do it.
Yeah, you guys are able to reclaim all of your gear. You get your auto picker out. It is difficult because you are shackled, so you can roll. And this is particularly difficult manacles to unlock. So we'll put it at, in total, a -4.
Oh my.
Before your bonuses from your auto picker.
That's rough.
And you're rolling skullduggery.
Yeah. So, that's also a 9. Oh, neat. All right, let's keep going. Nope.
Did I give you negatives and push you into an explosion?
Yes.
Are we playing Manifest?
I have 4 hits.
Yeah, you get both of them. So there's like a brief moment. She kind of like it takes her like a second to like get the angle, like with both of you kind of shackled. There's like a moment where you're both kind of like shifting and you're trying to help her like get the right angle. Then finally she's able to stick like the utensil into the mouth of the lock, and you hear like a clicking sound as the auto picker works, and she kind of like deftly moves it with the tension, and then one shackle comes off, and then she's able to quickly get the other shackle off, and then she works on herself and gets the shackles off of herself, and the two of you are now no longer attached.
That was extremely impressive.
Thank you. It is something I happen to be pretty good at.
I've done my fair share of lockpicking, but that was, that borders on art. Allegedly. I've done my fair share of lockpicking.
Yes. So, do you want to see if we can figure out what's on this thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So you investigate the lockbox?
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, it is about the size of a large book. It is smooth black metal, and it doesn't have any kind of mechanical lock. It has some kind of panel in the front that you could inspect to try and figure out how you might bypass it. It would require a technology roll.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it. I had an in at the university. I have a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Something. And I'll take a look at this with my.
Do you want some help?
So
yeah,
it is.
If you know things about technology, a good scientist always accepts help.
So you guys start comparing notes. Yeah. So this, before any assistance or anything, it is a very sophisticated piece of technology. So it's going to be a -3 to identify exactly how it functions.
Okay. You said you got 2 hits over there, Pax?
Yes.
Okay, so just a -1 to my technology. Okay. I've got 1 hit.
All right. It's a lock of some kind. No.
It seems to keep you from opening the box.
PhD, I see. All right.
No,
it's in literature.
Yeah. So it's kind of so it's biometric in some way. Authorized users can scan. You're not sure if it's eyes, thumbprints, or both. And then you're able to kind of notice it has like kind of taking a close look at it and like shining a light in it. It looks like the lens on there is like makes holograms. And so like your guess is that once the necessary biometric input is accepted, then a little hologram appears that is like touch sensitive and allows you to punch in a code of some kind. That would be your guess on how this thing opens. But you have no sense of like how you would fool it.
Okay. So I think the way to get this open is to wait for the marshal. Because it requires his thumb or eye or both.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't think to grab either when we had the chance. That's a joke. I couldn't have taken either.
All right. Then I guess we wait. Is there a way to like sort of hide us being in here at all in case like how long do you think we wait?
I think, how long did it take to get here?
It took 30-ish minutes probably.
Okay, so if we figure it took us about a half hour, he's probably fighting for 15 minutes maybe, and then he's got to round up his guys. That's another 15, and then it's a half hour to get here. Maybe we give him like an hour and a half. That seems fair, right? Because any longer than that, and who knows who could come by and find us and kill us. There's a large gang in the region, I've heard.
Maybe we bury it?
Yeah, I think if we're going to leave, we bury it. And then with a note, we leave a note. You always leave a note, is what I've learned.
No, I mean, I think we bury it now, just in case, or like hide it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can bury it now.
So that in case, who knows, right? Then we have leverage. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So you want to bury it somewhere else then? Than here, I mean.
Probably. Yes. Maybe.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Is there a place to bury it here that like a little nook or something that won't?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
The floor of this cave is soft enough that you could bury it, depending on how deep you want to bury it.
Mostly just so it's hidden,
You're in the garden, so the surrounding terrain tends to be pretty earthy, and at least the like top layer is easier to dig into than say the arid, rocky land of the Badlands.
Yeah, I just want to find a place in here to bury it, so that if the dead man's gang comes here and wants it, they have to let us go before we tell them where it is. But we don't have to go anywhere else in case the marshals come here and ask for it.
That's good thinking. I like that. Yeah, there's a rock over there. I saw it. It was distinctive, but not so distinct you'd think it was a marker. It's sort of perfect.
Yeah. You can roll skullduggery to try and mask this burial site of this lockbox.
I will help out.
Okay.
With my 2 hits. See, like this rock doesn't look like anything, but you remember it now. And if I told you about it, you'd find it easily. It's the perfect place to hide treasure.
So that's 2 hits for me.
Okay.
Oh, I see it. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the 2, you kind of like dig a little shallow hole in the ground. You put it in. You do a decent job of packing the ground and then like shuffling it up enough so that it looks like natural. And then at this point, it's getting a little bit dark. It was already the sun was getting a little lower in the hills when the fight broke out, and so now it's been like a couple hours, or close to a couple hours. It's getting a little darker. It's especially dark in this cave. You guys are hurting for natural light.
Hmm. Do you know how to make a fire?
Yeah, you need something that'll burn, and then something to make a spark on the thing that'll burn, and then fire happens. It's just sort of it's just sort of science, really.
Right.
Simple.
So you could just get on that then.
So you want me to go out there in the dark? Alone? Are you going to come with?
Let
me put it this way. I'm not going to go look for firewood alone.
Maybe we could just see it from the mouth of the cave, and then you could go pick it up, and then you could start the fire with the wood.
Sure. We'll go to the mouth of the cave. Is there any firewood in eyesight so that I could? It's sort of when you take out the garbage at night and you ask someone to watch you take out the garbage.
I wasn't gonna make you guys roll survival, but now I am. Well, I mean, I wasn't gonna make you roll to start a fire, but you are correct. You don't have really any means to do so. So let's roll some survival to see if you can find the necessary supplies to make a fire, because you guys are Neither of you have cubes?
No, what would I do with a cube?
Do I need cubes for?
Yeah. Go ahead and you can roll survival. It is dark now, so we'll put it at a -2.
Oh, survival at a -2, you say? Why have you done this thing to me? Here we go. Well, that's cocked, so I can roll that again. Okay, well that's not anything, but I do have a reliability on this. Also not anything. I
dark.
failed to hit my target of 2.
It's very dark. You look out.
I got a 1. I rolled a 1. We got it.
I don't see anything.
There's sticks right there. Go get them.
It's not sticks right there. You remember having seen like thickets and brambles that could be used to start a fire upstream a little bit if you want to go get those. Level 1 characters are hilarious, and I love it.
Okay, instead, I am not doing that. I am going to put on my night vision goggles.
Mm-hmm.
You've had those the whole time. We stood at the mouth of the cave and looked out into a sea of darkness.
And I saw things that were great. I didn't want to make you feel jealous.
I mean, you failed in that.
And I will. Oh golly! I will pull out some. I will pull out some wiring out of one of these horses.
Oh, sure.
And
you want to try and salvage the horse a little bit to get some supplies?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's way smarter. Yeah, I could turn a horse into fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can try and salvage these automaton horses in the wagon. At least a little bit. You'll render one of the horses unoperational by beginning to salvage it. But yeah, you absolutely can. You can roll technology or machinery to. It's just machinery. Sorry, they don't have any.
We have these clothes, right? That we were wearing in this prison thing, and these are automaton horses. They run on gas, right?
Yeah. Well, no. Actually, it's like kind of a mix of like energy, like luminescent energy cells, and I don't actually think there's much like gas for these. They're a little more sophisticated.
Oh, wild. Never mind. Yeah, let's rip these horses apart and make fire out of them. Do you know your way around the insides of an automaton horse?
I'll help you.
Great.
Yeah. So it's machinery. If you are assisting Pax, you roll machinery. However many hits you get adds to the target number that Roland rolls.
So I'll look at it and I go, I think it's these parts, and then I'll hand him my goggles, and then as I get one hit.
Nice.
Okay, great. That's cocked. Oh, okay. 2 hits.
Okay. So you're able.
It is those parts.
You're able to remove 2 tech cubes worth of parts, and you can turn one of those tech cubes into basically like a torch of some kind that can then like you can easily like begin a fire with like the shrapnel from like the floorboards from they were shot and stuff. Like you have enough like kindling sort of, and you're able to like maybe make a wick also out of some of the parts and some of the rags that you had. You're able to like secrete a little bit of like oil from like the thing, and you get a little bit of a fire there. It's not like a campfire necessarily, but it's enough of a fire to give you light and a warmth.
Got a pile of wood, and then just like a lightly oily rag leading away from it. We stand back and we light the rag and then hide behind a rock. Great. This is great.
Yeah, and now you guys have a little bit of a camp going here. You're getting to the point where it seems like you're getting to that point where you're not sure if you want to stay for the marshal or not. And around that time, you have a little bit of fire. You hear movement at the mouth of the cave.
We're not hiding from anything. Call out.
Hello, we're in here.
There's a
Who
slight
is
pause,
it?
and you see shapes appearing at the edge of your fire. Bestial shapes. As you have attracted the attention of 3 axe handle hounds.
Oh, but they're so cute.
No, they're not. They're scary looking.
Oh no.
They're semi-canine looking creatures. They have a stony wedge-shaped head with a long mouthful of like razor-sharp teeth, and they kind of move in and like you hear like the snarling and like you see their sharp tails kind of like swishing behind them. And I need you guys to roll initiative.
Oh no.
Sure, we're not hiding from anybody. Let's just invite the dogs into our camp.
They're hiding anyway.
Scott. Aha. I forgot I'm bad at this.
So the axe handle hounds have a 3.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got a 4.
Yeah.
I have a 6.
Oh.
So you're not trying to do anything about making me jealous here. I see.
All right, so Pax, you get to go first. So there's 3 hounds, and as Roland makes the joke, like, yeah, sure, let's just invite the dogs into our campfire. They snarl, let out like a roaring bark, and rush forward towards you. You see like the like front of their heads, like that kind of like wedged axe shape, is sharp, and it's running at you.
Uh-huh.
But you have acquired all your gear. So what do you look like now that you're not in prison rags?
Yeah. So I have sort of like dark jeans on, I guess, probably, and then like a loose blouse and a jacket that's like a moto jacket, and when it gets zipped up, it's like almost like it's like very skin tight, so that like for sneaking and stuff, and it's like a dark color thing, and it has a hood that comes up over it, and it's got the like I'm obviously a thief hand, like
you have like the little loop around your finger.
And then I've got like a bandolier of small knives that have like little loopies on the end that I can like throw, and then I have like one giant knife. I think did we keep that? I have 2 giant knives that like are like sort of like in holsters almost, but not quite. That are just like on my hip. So yeah.
Well, you're up. So what do? These hounds are rushing forward. They look hungry.
Well, same. So I will throw some of these smaller knives at them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
So you're throwing at just one of them, whichever one's closest?
I don't have a talent or anything for anything else, so yes.
Cool. Takes a quick action to attack one. And which kind of knife are you throwing at them?
Just piercing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharp.
You are up against a 7.
Oh, neat. So I got 2 net hits with 7s.
How much damage is that?
6 damage. with 4 piercing.
Ooh. Okay. No, it's more than 4 piercing when you're using piercing, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah, it's 6 piercing.
Yeah.
So that all of that
all goes to hit points.
Yeah. And I will throw another one with my offhand.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
You're up against a 7 again.
Ooh, okay. Well, less good this time. I got 1 hit with an 8.
Which is how much damage?
3. All of its piercing.
Okay. All right, yeah. Quickly reacting to the hounds as they move forward, Pax steps back, kind of suring her stance, and with a flick of both wrists, throws out 2 knives that one like gouges along the wedge of the front of one of the hounds, and then the other one like sticks into its shoulder, and they let out roars and keep running forward, and that puts it to Roland's turn.
Okay. Seeing these 2 extremely good knife throws, seem to just enrage this thing. I will, as I'm scrambling back away from our fire, reach into my pack and just roll out a little silver ball, hopefully in the middle of all 3 of them, because then it just explodes in sleep gas.
Nice. Maybe a second.
And I'll just reach under my collar and slip up my excellent filtration mask.
How dare you?
Sorry, I'll wake you up if it works.
Yeah, you see him kind of roll out a grenade in front of you, Pax, in between you and these charging hounds. And you kind of like raise up an arm like, oh no, I'm about to explode. But instead of an explosion, this cloud starts seeping out. It's not as thick as maybe like a smoke grenade might be, but it is like kind of a haze. And so now for every feet of movement, or for every 5 feet you're trying to view through this gas, it's going to be -1 visibility penalty. And then you pull up your filtration mask probably with your other quick action, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the hounds begin their turn inside the smoke. So let me roll their negate.
Probably really bad at it. Probably just real bad.
One of them is hurt, so I'll roll him first. Oh, that's bad. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, that exploded. Sweet. I'm going to spend grit, so both of you can have grit right now.
Ooh.
And I'm going to play to the gallery so I can count this lower number so that it explodes, so I can potentially get a higher number. Yeah, so the one that got hit, like with the like deep gouge along the face and then in the shoulder, like stumbles a little bit as the smoke shoots out. Like the smoke is like very quickly filling up this this cave. It's like not like a slow thing. It's like on jets, like. And the one that is wounded gets like a face full of it and stumbles back and like tries to move forward and then like gets one leg kind of rolls underneath it and it falls down on its shoulder and that's like giant wide mouth like opens up and like you see it kind of snap a couple times at you as it kind of tries to shuffle back up onto its legs, but then its body just kind of gives way and it falls into a deep sleep. The other 2, the smoke hits them and they're like, "Argh!" And you see them kind of like slowed a little bit, but they like rush forward through the smoke, like letting out like a and they're going to be able to close the gap before they fall asleep.
Oh no.
And they are going to. One is going to go for you, Roland, and the other it's going to run around the right side of the campfire, or from your perspective, the left side of the campfire, to try and get at you and like snap at your leg. And the other one is going to jump up at Pax.
Quick question. We had time to take a breather after the big fight.
Oh yeah,
right?
So you would have automatically regained your 2 hit points.
That's good for me.
Yeah, so Roland, you are up against just a 2 for the first attack.
And yet, I am still hit.
Well, it only got 1 net hit on you, so you take 2 damage. Oh, there was a reliability. That doesn't matter. You take 2 damage.
Any piercing?
Nope.
Thank God.
As this thing kind of like grabs your foot in its giant mouth and pulls you back towards it so it can kind of get better purchase above you, and now it's going to like try and dig its claws into your chest. So go ahead and roll.
Oh God, I thought I was done.
Nope. that was just a quick action from this guy.
I got a 7.
Well, you're in bad. You got some bad luck there. So you take 4 damage. No armor piercing.
Such a nice suit.
Well, it's getting shredded now by the sharp claws of this axe handle hound as it kind of like digs into you, and as it digs its claws into your chest, like ripping apart like your armor, you see it like push itself back. Its front legs seem a little longer than what you thought, and it's able to kind of pull its body back a little bit while pushing down on you, and then it's gonna launch its head forward into you to try and smack that sharp razor's edge front of its face into your chest.
Great, this is fine. I always knew I'd die in a cave because a dog hit me with its axe head.
Oh man, you have such bad luck. You're up against a 9.
Well, my 7 does nothing.
Yeah. So that is 8 damage with 3 armor piercing if it matters.
Oh my goodness.
I think you mean that's an injury instead. I don't have the table in front of me, unfortunately.
I can pull it up.
I just assumed this couldn't happen.
Well, that was your first mistake.
I've rolled a 6.
All right. Just give me a second. Oops, I scrolled right past the injury.
I think that's the second tier, which is...
yeah, so this is a class injury.
1 to all tests?
No, that's the first tier. So class 1 injury, you rolled a 6, so you are overwhelmed. Understand?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
So you're at a -2 to your test. As this thing slams its head into you, and you're able to kind of like deflect it with like a wild swing of your elbow, and it like smashes in next to you, but you like get turned onto your side, and now it's like kind of just like jabbing and clawing and biting at you, and you're like completely like this thing's standing on top of you, trying to get an angle to keep attacking you, and you're just like completely overwhelmed by this, and you're at a -2 to your next action, or your next test. Meanwhile, the other one that managed to make it through this sleep is going to attack you, Pax.
All right.
Let's see how that goes for you.
Let's see.
Hey, lucky you! It whiffs on its first attack, just straight up.
Oh, sure.
Great.
I see.
Oh no, it has a reliability. I do need you to roll. It has a 4.
All right. I have a 10.
Cool. So yeah, you're fine. This thing leaps at you, trying to claw at you and kind of pull you down a little bit, and you're able to kind of like duck dodge, like weave around the side, so it misses, and then it like swings around and is going to try and bite at your leg.
Okay.
So you're up against a 5.
I have a 6.
All right. This one, it tries to bite at your leg, and you actually, because it glitched, you're going. Yeah, it misfired. Sorry, we've been playing a lot of Shadowrun. It misfired. It gravely misfired because you managed to dodge. That when it tries to bite at your leg, you give it a kick at its face, like kind of hitting it on the side of its like axe handle head, and it goes flying into the fire. And it's able to kind of extricate itself from the fire without really getting injured, but I will make it lose its free headbutt attack. It won't get to do that because it gravely misfired. So it loses that very strong attack that it doesn't get to do now. As it kind of like flies in the fire and like kicks back and like embers shoot up and it like lets out like a roar. And Pax, it is now your turn, and guess what? You're in a cloud of sleep gas.
That's what I was afraid of.
So I need you to roll a negate test.
Yeah.
Let me just double check something real quick before you roll. I mean, you can roll. It won't adjust the number of dice you roll, but it might adjust your target.
Okay.
I've tricked this axe handle hound into a disadvantageous position where it's focused only on me and not you. Now kill it.
I will probably be asleep, but I appreciate your confidence.
I believe in you.
Yeah. What did you get? There's no additional modifier.
Cool. No hits.
Okay. You fall asleep.
Yeah. Oh,
that's fine.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah, you're like, you turn, you just like kicked this thing in the face. You draw out both your large knives. You're getting ready to fight this axe handle hound that you just kicked into this fire, and then your like vision starts blurring. You see 2 axe handle hounds, then 3, and then everything like kind of warps upside down as you kind of like twist and fall down on the ground, and you're asleep now.
Okay.
You're up, Roland.
Okay. This is fine. Everything is exactly where I have foreseen. My plan is coming together. I would like to try and roll into the cloud of sleep gas.
Oh, also, you started your turn inside the cloud of sleep gas. You are wearing the filtration mask, so it makes it much more likely that you succeed, but the thing is not infallible. So I need you to roll a negate test. Your filtration mask gives you an automatic success on it. You just need to get 2 successes in order to not fall asleep here.
Yeah, I'm fine. I get 1 more hit.
Cool. Yeah, so your filtration mask is working. So what were you saying you were doing?
I'd like to, I guess if I'm in the cloud, I don't need to roll into the cloud.
No.
So
like move closer to the grenade for funsies.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will. I'd like to be as much in the cloud as possible.
Yeah, you start crawling. You crawl out from underneath this hound. It kind of like it rolls over and like starts like moving towards you from behind as you move closer towards the grenade and turn around.
Yeah, and I will unsling my rifle and try and shoot this thing. Hopefully, seeing as my grenade has failed on so many levels.
You are up against a 4.
Oh, okay. Well, it's possible I hit. You know what? Oh, actually, there's nothing I can do for that, but it is reliable. Yeah, I will spend 2 grit to play to the gallery to count as 9 and have the 2 hits I'm allowed to count.
Nice. How much damage does that deal to the axe handle hound?
It is 12 damage with 2 piercing.
All right. So it's you kind of scramble out from underneath it, and you roll over on your back. You meant your -2 for being overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was rolling at a target of 8.
and you kind of shoulder this rifle. You take a shot at it, and it chips off like the top of its like stony head. Like a little bit of blood shoots out, and it lets out like a yipping roar as it like stumbles back and like shakes itself clear. And it's going to be their turn now, and they're still in this gas cloud. So that was me rolling 3 dice and getting a natural 20 on all 3 of them.
Oh no!
Did they die so badly that Pax wakes up?
Yes. Well, they fall asleep. So what happens? Here's what is going to happen. So the one that was going after Pax shakes itself clear, runs forward, and is going to like start like gnawing on Pax. But instead, it succumbs to the sleep cloud. And let me just double check a thing. And with its grave misfire, Pax, it like grabs onto you as if to gnaw at you, and then it like stumbles back, and it doesn't really have any purchase on you. It's just holding on to like your armoring, and it drags you towards like towards where it was. It kind of spins around. It's like trying to like bite down harder, but then it can because it's starting to fall asleep. And then it like kind of slumps down like its heavy head laying on your lap. And it's the way it moved you made your limp sleeping arm fling out into the fire. And your arm gets lightly burned from the heat of the fire, which wakes you up.
Oh, great. Ow!
And then there's a sleeping axe handle hound on your lap.
Oh no.
And the other one does manage to succeed still, the one that is coming after you, Roland.
Great.
And it is going to... it's going to attack you for sure. It got no hits.
You got no hits?
Nope. It's hurt. You heard it. So
here's the dice pool I just rolled. 1, 15, 20.
Nice. So yeah, it's coming at you. It's like shaking off the shot that you gave it, and it's shaking off the sleep. It comes at you. It tries to claw at you, but yeah, it just whiffs as you kind of scramble to your feet. Second attack. It whiffs again. These wound modifiers are killing it. And third attack, it's going to use its little headbutt action at you. As it kind of claws at you, you scramble to your feet. So instead of trying to like get purchase on you, it like pushes back on its hind legs and leaps forward, kind of turning its head sideways to try and like knock out your knees.
I've got a 3.
Okay. Yeah, you can have grit. I'm going to remove my negatives. You get a grit, and it's going to hit you with a 7. And so that's 4 damage with 3 piercing if it matters.
You know what? I'm just going to take another injury.
Sure. So you roll 2 d20s and take the highest result on the class 1 injury.
13.
That is a hard fall, which means you fall prone and cannot move next turn. So, like I said, it was going for your knees, and you managed to like jump up right enough that like it doesn't like the sharp blade of its like the front of its head doesn't like sever your knees or break them or anything, but you feel this pain as you kind of like your knees collide with the slope of the head, and you roll over the top of it and slam down, like smacking your head, and your knees hurt, your head hurts, and you're kind of stuck there on the ground for a second, like with your wind knocked out of you. And
teaching a freshman literature class right now.
And Pax, because the axe handle hound gravely misfired, I'm not going to make you roll a negate test. The burning of your hand is keeping you fresh enough that you don't have to roll a negate test against the sleep gas this turn.
Okay.
So you push off the axe handle hound on your lap, and you look over, and you see Roland do a somersault in the air as his knees are knocked out from underneath him from a leaping axe handle attack.
Oh no. I will try to hit the one that's attacking him, I guess. So let's see what happens. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so you're using your knives, your
yeah.
fighting knives?
Yes.
Okay, so you step to your feet, draw out your two large knives, and rush forward. Okay. And go ahead and roll your melee attack.
I have an 11. Oh wait, I roll one more die.
This axe handle hound got 0 hits.
I still have an 11. So that is 3 hits. Which is there's reliability. Nope. Which is 9 damage with no piercing.
Okay. So yeah, you rush up. This thing slams down on the ground, and you just flip the blade upside down and just do an uppercut motion, and you gouge the side of its head, and blood shoots out. It lets out a roar, and then it turns its attention to you. But you still have another attack.
Ah, yes, I do. Ooh, much worse. No.
What'd you get?
It's gross. A 7.
Okay. I will give you a grit as I spend the last of my grit to be able to count this hit. And you reach down with your other one after you did that uppercut. You kind of spin around and swing with a slash motion to try and sever an important part of its neck. And unfortunately, it kind of very quickly jumps up and spins its body around to kind of make itself facing you instead of giving you the broadside, and you just barely miss, kind of chinking against the face, but not cutting anything.
Sure.
And it lets out a snarl, and in that moment, you hear a gunshot ring out from the darkness, and the side of the head of the axe hound blows out, and it falls down, and you see movement in the shadows again, and you hear footsteps, and you see the figure of somebody approaching the light, and that's where we'll end this session.
Do you want to announce ourselves again, or have we rethought that strategy?
I don't. What?
I would like to make one small argument for you trick someone into a disadvantageous position. I would like to argue I've tricked myself into a disadvantageous position by thinking the sleep grenade was going to do anything.
I don't think I'm definitely not going to set a precedent that you can trick yourself into disadvantageous position to get XP. But you did earn the trust of this stranger, Pax, and make her think that you were pretty you were on top of things, and then you immediately gassed her with a sleep grenade. So so I think she got a little tricked. She wasn't keeping an eye on you. She thought oh yeah, we're just gonna fight, and then you did some tricksy stuff, and it took her down.
1 XP.
1 XP.
You're welcome.
Any other XP triggers? That puts you guys at 7, I think, for the whole session.
No, that's it. I haven't gotten away with breaking the law, so.
All right, cool. So 7 XP. I think that makes you guys level 2. Yeah.
It does. It does. We have leveled up and hit the notoriously hard to hit level 2.
Yeah. Well, when you're playing with just 2 players, it's a lot easier. It's actually it's the best you can do. Yeah, so you guys will hit level 2, which means you get another talent point, you get another attribute point, and you get another skill point. You can bank the talent point, you spend the attribute point and the skill points now, or after we're off the stream. And also, if you feel like it, you may swap one of your advancement triggers with another advancement trigger from the choices given to you by your path. So that's all stuff that we'll sort out before the next stream. First off, thank you to everyone for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Getting to watch some fresh new characters, free from the quick start guide. I was able to bring some beasties to bear since they're not in the quick start guide. Before we end the stream or anything, we're going to do some questions. Those of you who are watching, you can feel free to submit questions into the Twitch chat. We are watching it right now. There were at least, I think there was at least one question submitted through the Kickstarter exclusive Discord. Addie, do you have that handy, or should I pull it up?
I have it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
If any of you watching right now, if a question pops to mind, it can be a question about the session that you just watched, it can be a question about Manifest in general, it can be really a question about anything. We'll give you an answer, and that's how we'll wrap up the stream. What's the question that was submitted to the Discord?
They are loading.
Tried to vamp a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay.
I got it.
But we did get a pseudo question on the stream today, which was, will this stream be available later on Twitch to watch? And the answer is, it is available for 7 days definitely, and maybe up to 2 weeks. So if you, for some reason, want to watch this again or miss the first part of the session or something like that, this will be available once the stream is over to watch again. So watch us the second time.
Yes. So I have the Discord up. Looks like Penny Lane asked, is there an Essential NPCs Discord, or will there be a subsection of this Discord where we can discuss our favorite Essential NPCs stories? For those of you who are unaware, Essential NPCs is our podcast that we are wrapping up this month. I honestly, yeah. So I can tell you right off, there's not an Essential NPCs Discord right now. I think, though, it could be interesting to add a channel in the Manifest Discord, either centered around Essential NPCs or just podcast chatter in general. But Essential NPCs does have a whole season that is Manifest the RPG. As far as we know, it's the only existing actual play of Manifest besides the stream, right? Yeah, and honestly, that seems like something that we could probably work up. What do you think, Addie?
Yeah, I could make it like tonight, but that isn't something that would be particularly difficult. So yeah, we could totally do that.
This is my favorite question.
Are you looking at the chat?
Yeah.
Argit Lam asks, how easy would it be to convert, for example, Bumbles into Manifest? Bumbles is a character from the Essential NPCs podcast Shadowrun seasons. He is a rigger and an explosives expert. Rigger in Shadowrun is someone who's very good at vehicles and has many drones. So take it away, Dan. What do you think? You've made a lot of characters in Manifest, and you made Bumbles.
Yeah, extremely easy. I did it. You're looking at it.
Well, you guys not a demolitions expert or
no. But he does have basically all of the attributes that you would need to do Bumbles. If I was gonna try and do a 1-for-1 Bumbles clone, his personality would be a little bit lower and his awareness would be a little bit higher, so he'd be better at vehicles, and probably some of his skills would be moved around. But I realized pretty quickly as I was making an educated grifter, and I was like, yeah, so maybe he conned his way into teaching at a university. Oh, I've made Bumbles again, which is something that happens in every RPG I play, and usually I try not to do it and make a second draft, but this seemed fun.
Yeah, it's distinct enough from Bumbles because you didn't start off with just a bunch of drones and explosives, and it doesn't seem like you're driving notion.
Oh yeah.
How many explosives do I need to solve this problem?
Yeah, no. This character is distinct from Bumbles in many important ways, but on paper, without looking at like any kind of backstory stuff, it does have very similar attributes to what you would do if you were just making a Bumbles clone in Manifest. Bumbles 2.0, still possible.
Not so much, but a little bit in a roundabout way.
In a roundabout way, it's extremely possible.
The hard part is having an animate body that isn't a living person.
It's much more sinister and gross, but it is possible.
Yeah. You could so Bumbles 2.0. I guess fuck it. Bumbles 2.0 lives in a drone body, and you could achieve a similar thing by being illuminated and going all the way down to the bottom of the illuminated tree, so that you could become an Everlight. And then you can put your consciousness into people and take over their bodies. So much more sinister.
Yeah, way meaner. I think there have only been the 2 Bumbleses, to answer Hargit Lam's other question.
Yeah, how many Bumbleses have there been? Yeah, just the 2. I think, like Dan said, he's always like almost made Bumbles and been like wait, and like done a different thing.
Yeah, the problem is that like my first instincts for many characters is what made Bumbles in the first place.
Yeah.
And so I have to catch myself every time I make a new character.
Yeah, I did a similar thing where my first draft of every character is like a person who like throws and stabs with knives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I totally forgot the first character I ever played with you in an RPG was a knife thrower and stabby sneaky person.
Yep, and that's like my first instinct every time. And this time I was like, this seems fine. This seems good enough. And then I made this character. So it's really funny that we're both playing our first instincts, I guess, which is great.
And then Argit Lam says, how many explosives? All of them. Yes. That's also, the usual.
Explosives are kind of brutal in Manifest. They're not in Shadowrun. I know that they're very like, you can get like spray foam that does exactly what you want it to do every time. And in Manifest, explosives are a little bit more.
You have to be really good at explosives to get the same effect as somebody with a can of explosive foam in Shadowrun.
Yeah. What about other questions? What do we have?
We've got one in the chat. I have to go away though to read it, so I don't know if you guys are looking
at the
chat. Okay.
Eliza MX writes, after only one session, how do you like these characters as compared to Anna and Vic? What about compared to any other Manifest characters you've played?
That's what you guys. I mean, I can talk about from the GM's perspective at the end, I guess.
Yeah, we both just talked about how we've made the characters we always almost make. So, like, yeah, Roland's a lot of fun. It was rough. Vic was not, like, bad at talking to people, but he was not built for it, and it's always rough for me when I choose to play a character who is not good at talking to people, because my instinct is to always be talking in RPGs.
That is also my instinct. So Anna, it was similarly like, even though she was like pretty good, like wasn't the best. So this character being like similarly inclined is again a challenge, which is really fun. It's like, Dan, go. It was like push him in the front. It's pushing a little. But I figured out, like, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but like this happens to me more often than I'd like, where I like create a stat block that I'm like really excited about, with a background I'm really excited about, and like a story that I'm really excited about. And then they're like, what is your character actually like? What do they sound like? What do they talk like? How do they act? And I'm like, oh no. And that's what happened with this character, where like she's still like she's got like the whole backstory and everything, but she's certainly undefined in like her sense of humor and like what like she likes and what she doesn't like and how to interact. So I was like, talk to this like scary ex-con guy. I was like, is she afraid? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Oh no, she's just bad at connecting with people, unlike her, I guess. I don't. So Whereas Anna was like, she'll talk to anybody. She may not be good at it, but she'll talk to them, and it'll be great. And also,
yeah, I think the one casualty that is just something that will definitely happen with time is Anna and Vic had a great dynamic together, which, to be perfectly honest, is just me and Addie playing RPGs together alone and just getting to just like role play with each other.
Yeah, so we'll get there for sure.
Yeah.
But it's always on the first session, like
I think, yeah. Well, those two characters, they were both like not super smart and a little reckless, right? So like, you guys were just able to like kind of like poke fun at the like notion of like not like murder hobos, but like, you know, players who like the trope of like a player character who's just like, that seems like a thing we can go fight. Let's do it.
like look at each other, shrug, run in. Like
Yeah.
that was kind of.
I think our catchphrase for that short campaign was, we didn't have anything else going on.
Yeah. From a jamming perspective, I think I'm looking forward to these two characters because not because I love Anna and Vic. They were a ton of fun, but I was running out of like material that I could throw at them, especially using the quick start guide, because I was like, they don't do a whole lot more than like death-defying acts and fights, right? And so like having characters that like can talk a little bit better and like are a little bit less like reckless and a little more like clever in their approaches makes it so you can do a little bit of everything, right? So I'm excited to like, you know, be able to like showcase some other elements of Manifest besides just there's bandits, they're shooting at you, go.
Yeah. Well, and I think also both of these characters are particularly fragile. And so
extremely on my end.
like I have fewer hit points than I want. And so I think it will be really interesting because it won't be, I don't think that we're going to be like, yes, fight. Like, I think if we were Anna and Vic, we probably just like would have gone and fought the bandits.
You would have killed all the bandits.
Whereas like with us, we were like,
let's leave now.
go this way. Yeah. So I think that that's a big difference. And I think that it'll make for interesting choices because like, I know that like Pax is like very sneaky and like good with like she doesn't have any like guns or anything like that. So she's pretty, you know, she's pretty on the DL. And I think that Roland is a different kind of DL where he's just supposed to be there, obviously. So we'll see how that goes. I think it'll make some really interesting choices going forward.
We'd be great at a gala.
Oh my gosh, we'd be so good at a gala. Tommy, let us go to a gala.
Can't do that. Galas are so dangerous. Looks like Argitlam asks, is there an equivalent to the chunky salsa rule? Referencing a rule in Shadowrun. I can't actually remember if it was ever truly like written that way. I don't remember if they.
I can almost with like 95% certainty say that it is written that way.
Yeah. So the chunky salsa rule of Shadowrun is if you're in a confined space and an explosive goes off, it bounces around, and so you have to resist the damage multiple times. There's not really an equivalent for that in Manifest, I think, because Manifest doesn't do damage resist rolls. You just kind of take the damage and that's that. But depending on the size of the explosive, like if you're at close range, which you would be if you were in a confined space with it, the damage is enough. Yeah. So the way you survive explosives in Manifest is get it away from them. Try to, when you roll a defense test against them, it's just to get further away from the center of the explosion, because if you're at the center, you're in trouble. Let's see what else we got. Eliza MX says, anything we can look forward to now that the stream is not restricted by the quick start guide? Looking for teasers. Well, I don't want to say what I've got planned because there's very little that I have planned right now. I think one thing, actually to that end, I guess one thing is now that it's not like confined by the quick start guide and I can just kind of like draw from everything that exists in Manifest, I don't have to like be like, okay, these are the enemies that they're going to go up against this session, right? Like this first session, like many first sessions, was a little more confined. You guys were literally shackled and imprisoned. But like from here on out, like, you know, you guys will be able to just do whatever the hell you want, and I won't have to be like, oh, that's not in the quick start guide yet, right? You can just, like, if you go into a town or you like decide to like go digging underground, I can make you fight an Agarino or something.
Oh, please don't do
even
that.
say that.
Yeah, well, and also we could, you know, do crafting, which is really cool. Like legit crafting. And you know, I think you might have seen a little bit of crafting, like, oh, I make a flashlight, or like, oh, we start this fire. But
it's like turn cube into regular thing is what's in the quick start guide. But
we could definitely like make like weapons and mods and maybe a tonic if you're good at that, because I'm not.
I'm okay at all of it. I'm good.
He's smart.
But yeah, so there's like we can do that. There are also a lot more like animals and different because I think most of the opposition that we faced was like the elements and people. So I think that we can see a lot more like of the flora and fauna because the flora is fucking dangerous. And on Manifest, there's like flowers that eat people and crap like that. So
yeah, I do have to be a little careful to like put my cards on the table. You know, only so many of the creatures that we've kind of thought up and comprised some rules for are going to make it into the core rulebook. Down the line, we do have a plan to release a more expanded bestiary for Manifest. So there is a chance that some of the creatures you see on the stream won't actually be in the core rulebook to begin with. There'll be something to look forward to even further beyond.
Though so far we haven't featured anything that we.
I'm not 100% sure Axe Handle Hounds make it into the core rulebook.
Oh, really?
It's a little bit at the discretion of our artist. We kind of gave our artist a list of creatures. Crystal Soli, she is amazing. She is exactly what we were looking for in our bestiary artist. And I gave her a long list of a bunch of creatures and a description of all of them, and let her pick what inspired her most.
Yeah,
she's the
first
doing... creature art will be kind of at the discretion of Crystal.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot. Yeah, but and she's great, and you can follow her at Chris Ellie on Twitter. She is amazing, and she does so many dragons, and it's awesome.
They're all dope dragons too.
Yeah, and you go to like your local con, there's a pretty good chance that she'll be there.
The other thing that you can look forward to that neither of these two mentioned, which is astonishing to me, is talent trees.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because the quick start characters have their whole progression up to level 5 mapped out, and Tommy and Addie can attest, I have a problem when it comes to building out characters, and that I am meticulous and specific. And in playing Vic, I disagreed with the choices Tommy made.
Like, this isn't what I want. I'm like, too bad it's what you get.
So we got a question really quick about the Agarino kill count. I think it's still just 1. I think it's still
technically 2. It is.
You were
totally
time. It does not count.
Well, fair, so here's the thing. Tommy has said that it's technically 2 before. I'm quoting him. Take it up with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've only brought the Agarino to bear 3 times in playtests. The first time it killed Addie's character pretty brutally.
Serendipity Jones, RIP.
Serendipity Jones of the Serendipity Jones Memorial Schoolhouse in Waypoint. Yeah, she died very brutally. She was the
Agent Colton of the Waypoint campaign.
Yeah, she was like the impetus to like unify the town and be like, we can't let this aggression stand. So that was the first time. The second time I think I brought it to bear was on the podcast, right? And that was I can't remember if it was on the podcast.
That was the third time.
Okay,
cool. we did the high level playtest before we did the podcast.
Yeah. So the second time was we were doing a high level playtest where everyone was like almost max level, so that we could see all the really, really powerful talents. And there is a talent at the bottom of the metal tree, and the metal tree is like kind of, like it's linked to the tenacity attribute. It's about like survival and animal handling. And one of the tier 4 talents in that kind of is the most mystical talent in Manifest. It's
it's
gives you
certainly
kind of
tied with the Enlightenment ones.
Yeah, it kind of gives you like a little bit of control over the elements of Manifest, because kind of like what you were saying, like maybe there's a little bit of a tie between like what makes Manifest and luminescent energy, right? So you get to kind of control elements, and one of those elements is time. And so I did kill Dan's character successfully. I described it in explicit detail. And then he used one of his, I think it's twice per day, right?
Twice a day
He used his ability to manipulate the elements, and he chose time. So he was able to rewind time and stop the thing that just happened. And though he experienced his death, he was able to undo it.
I had made the closest thing you can possibly make to a wizard in Manifest the RPG for that campaign.
Very illuminated and completely down that part of the metal tree. And then the third time was on the podcast, and that Augurio apparently, though probability would dictate otherwise, apparently stood no chance to the legend that is Badlands Pete, who just rode that thing around the Badlands and attacked people with it.
That was nuts. But yeah, so officially 1, Serendipity Jones, rip. And then
technically
2, because Nate died.
Yes.
But Nate Harper at the end of that non-canon campaign was unkillable.
I had to kill you 3 times to kill you.
You had to kill me 3 times to knock me into my phylactery.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Augurio kill count, I guess, in detail. All right, I think that that might be it for questions. Does anyone see any other ones?
I don't.
I think that's it. Yeah, that wraps it up. So for now, we are continuing with the bi-weekly streams. So we'll be off next week, and on the week after that, we will continue with these 2 characters, and perhaps there will be guest characters. We'll find out.
And we are looking at the potential to either make this weekly or bring other content on the off weeks. So stay tuned to our social media and our Twitch page to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, we're going to be leaning a little bit more into our Twitch. We're going to start getting if we can rip the recordings. We've had some problems pulling the recordings from Twitch before, but if we can get a clean recording pulled, we do want to start dropping things into our YouTube channel and get that active. So the Manifest the RPG content is only just beginning.
Kicking it into medium gear.
Nice. Don't oversell it. Yeah. So just a final check for questions in case there was anything else. All right, cool. That is going to be it. We are going to end this session. We will see you guys week after next. And, of course, we'll see you, those of you who kickstarted, in the Discord between now and then.
And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when we're streaming, and follow us so you get all the details as soon as they become available. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook and our Twitter, and you will get all of us that you can handle.
Yeah, we got all our social media over here. We got subscribe buttons somewhere up there.
Yeah. And thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
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 Bye.